I'd like to share with you what is the difference between adaptability and creativity. A lot of times people mix both of this concept up and they don't understand the fine line between the adaptability and creativity. However, I would like to say that both of them are pretty much linked. The more adaptable you are, the likelier that you will be more creative. And the more creative you are, the likelier that you're going to be adaptable, because creative people are open to different options. And so once they get creative and something comes up as a surprise, they don't just get angry, because in the first place they didn't know what to expect. They were just trying things out, they're experimenting, and so they are open to whatever it is that they see or happen on as the insight. Adaptability also has this creative dimension to it. That is, now that you're in this situation where there is really not, you can't keep doing things that you used to do before, you have to adapt to the new situation. You have to creatively find a way to find your own niche and create your own comfort zone in that new world order. So what are the differences between adaptability and creativity? The first thing is that the primary difference is that creativity is about adapting the world to you, while adaptability is about you adapting to the world. Creativity thinks about the world and sees how to add its own, uniqueness, its own flavor, its own innovation, product or service into that already existing world. And so if you see a creative person, there is already a way something is done. The creative person adds its own quota to how those things are done to make it more innovative and a more dynamic system. However, when it comes to adaptability, there is already a system that is structured that may not be able to change, but you now adapt yourself to fit into that structure. Much like right now, a lot of businesses are doing more of the work from home policy now, that many people are no longer going to their physical offices to work. Many of them are working from home. So many people are not adaptable to that. So they don't get to do so much. Whenever they're at home, they just loaf around because there's nobody overseeing them. That is a lack of adaptability. You must be able to work without any major level of oversight from the independent comfort of your room. And that is why people need to learn how to be adaptable, especially in this time that there is so much volatility in the system, uncertainty and complexity. And so adaptability is an essential tool in helping you thrive in this particular season. Creativity is adding some part of yourself to the world, while adaptability is observing where the world is heading and joining them. Adaptability usually leads to creativity, but creativity sometimes leads to adaptability. Adaptability cannot thrive so much without creativity, but creativity sometimes can do well without adaptability. Adaptability leads more to creativity than otherwise. Creativity requires you alone to happen. That is, in the comfort of your room, you can create a new product, you can create a new idea, you can write a book, you are being creative. But when it comes to adaptability, adaptability presupposes that a world beyond you are on the move and you need to join them. All right, creativity focuses on you, adaptability focuses on the world around you. Creativity always requires adaptability for there to be sustainability. I hope you understand the things I just shared with you. Right along, we'll go into the characteristics of adaptable people. And this is very important. As I mention these things, assess yourself in the framework of the things that I've been mentioning and try to make adjustments, because these are not adjustments that it would be nice to make. These are adjustments that will be essential to make because they are very pertinent to your survival. The first thing about adaptable people is that they experiment as often as possible. If you notice, that is also very similar to those who are creative as well, because there's a line of regression that joins both creativity and adaptability. But the thing about adaptability is that they are open to different things. Of course, they're not open to everything because it has to be within the scope of reason, logic, and acceptable standards. However, they experiment. They are not averse to changes. They're not averse to things not going exactly their way. They're open to whatever insights the world can deal them, their employees can give them. So they're not the kind of people that when you tell them do this, they will say, oh well, I don't do that, I've never done that, and I can never know how to do that. They are open to changes. So the guy has been a janitor all this while, and now you're changing him to be a clerk, and he's saying, it's fine, what does a clerk do? And he's open to the change. So they say you're a sales manager before, but now there's an obvious need for an HR. You need to be able to hone your relationship skills, do a few trainings and certifications, and go into that HR department and man it. Are you willing to adapt to that role? Because you see, we're in such a state of flux right now. The business world don't even know what is at the other end of COVID-19. A lot of them don't know what exactly they will be dealing with. There's a lot of diversification, disruption, and a lot of other things. And so why you will be employed and why you'll be relevant in your business or in your organization as an employee will not just be because you read a particular course in school. It will be because you have found a way to stay relevant even in a very unpredictable time. And that's why it's important for you to learn how to be adaptable. So they experiment, they're open to changes. Number two, they see opportunities where others see failures. For somebody that is not adaptable, when you see a giant, you're wondering, oh my God, this guy is bigger than me. This guy is this guy is that. But an adaptable person like David Looking at the story of David and Goliath in the book, Malcolm Gladwell, he explained very vividly that even David had a bigger advantage than Goliath, because Goliath was big. Like the dinosaurs we're talking about, they're not adaptable. They cannot bend easily. They cannot go down. They cannot throw. They are there. They are literally waiting for you to target them because they can't move so easily. And so David had that nimble ability. He was malleable. He was able to change. He could run. He could charge. He could throw a javelin. He could throw a stone. He was that adaptable, unlike his giant contemporary or his giant counterpart, who couldn't do as much nimble, adaptable skills and moves like David could. And so where others see giants, David saw someone that could not be missed, that is too big for me to miss him. Others said, he's too big, I can't defeat him. David looked at him and said, he's too big, I cannot miss this guy. Adaptable people see opportunities where others see failure. Adaptable people are resourceful. That is, they don't complain about what they don't have. They look within their own comfort zone and their resource base, and they look for how they can turn those resources that have been all the while redundant and turn them into golden things. That is, there's something that you can do right now that can bring a lot of money into your space. For example, you left your writing skill in your secondary school days when you used to write love letters and stuff and poems. And now, you got involved with a particular accounting job, and now let's say, for example, they downsized, you're back home and you're looking for what to do. And then you pick up that writing skill and then you start to write. For example, you bid for a job to write as a content creator for a particular company, and you're working remotely, delivering your content, being paid $50 per hour, and all of that. You see, it was because you looked within your resource base. You didn't start looking for a job out there and start looking for how to create a skill that you probably don't already have. An adaptable person looks within his resource base, takes that writing skill that he used to have, which he just needs to hone and just brush up a little, and then begin to make money out of it. And so an adaptable person looks for opportunities, and beyond that, he's resourceful. He's able to transform casualized, ignored resources within his territory into valuable commodities and raw materials. Very, very important. The next thing I need to share with you about adaptable people is that they think ahead. You see, it is one thing for you to be adaptable to a point where you wait for the change to happen before you adapt to it. But the really adaptable people, they think ahead of the change. They literally foresee it. They literally expect it. And in some cases, they even engineer it so that it can be the biggest winners at the end of that particular change. Because there are some changes that are inevitable. You can't be saying, oh, COVID-19 don't happen. It has already happened. What do you do when it has happened? And so it is about foreseeing the change. We all know about how Bill Gates several years ago predicted a particular pandemic of the magnitude that COVID-19 currently is displaying itself to be, and that is some prediction. Now, whatever the motivation or the reasons or whatever it is that led to that, we do not know, but the point is that someone foresaw, someone saw it ahead, and is perhaps more able to prepare for it than the average guy who this is meeting in unawares. And so an adaptable person doesn't just expect everything to remain the same forever. He looks out for trends and patterns in the system and literally foresees a change. And because he has seen it ahead, he's better suited to take the fullest advantage of that change when it eventually happens. Now, adaptable people, this is my favorite characteristic of adaptable people. Number 5, they do not whine. You see, this is one thing that I do not like to see whenever I see people who you give new tasks, new responsibilities, new roles and jobs, and they just whine and complain that this is not what I expected. I didn't expect things to change. I didn't expect it to rain today. It is too sunny. They complain about everything because in their mind, everything is designed to be around them. That's not how to drive a good mental capacity. If you're a strong person mentally, you are the kind of person that expects anything. And when you expect anything, you're able to turn anything into everything good. And that's the character of adaptable people. They don't whine. They don't complain about things that are not going their way. They're not babies. They don't throw tantrums whenever things don't go their way. Oh, we can't go out. I've been trying to go out all this time. I'm sure we've been seeing a lot of memes and interesting stuff going around the internet during this COVID-19. A lot of them is comprising of children throwing tantrums and insisting that they want to go out. That's because they are not as adaptable as the mature ones who have a mental capacity to understand the situation, the risks involved in going out, and have adapted to the need to stay home. And so it's important that you don't throw tantrums every time things change, course of actions change. Learn to adapt and not whine. Look within your resource base and take full advantage of the situation and make the best out of it. Number 6, adaptable people talk to themselves. They don't have all the answers, and they don't pretend like they do. They don't have all the answers. Oh, what is happening tomorrow? They're not going to pretend like they have all the answers to COVID-19, to everything that's going to happen. Sometimes as a leader, people ask you, Is this business going to keep running in the next 3 months? When you yourself, you know, based on the balance sheet and the track record and the reduced revenue that is coming in because of the pandemic, you know that this is not likely going to keep afloat in another 3 months. But you see, adaptable people, you see, are willing to talk to themselves and re-engineer their thinking. Because there are questions that will be asked of you. You can't pretend to have all the answers, but the truth is, in your own lone moments, do you talk to yourself to find a way to navigate hard situations and difficult, contexts? Because when an employee asks you that kind of question, you may not have anything tangible to say to him apart from, you know what, let's keep our hopes up, let's believe that something good is coming at the end of the day and all of that. But when you go back to your house, you're not just going to drop that conversation there. You're going to pick it up again and start ruminating about it. How will this institution, how will this business survive? How will my family survive in this particular period? My job is dependent on going out every day. Now that I have to stay at home, how do I make a change? So adaptable people don't just say, oh, anything that happens, I will go with it. They think. So they talk to themselves, they give themselves pep talk, and they make themselves more confident in handling the difficult and volatile and unpredictable situation. Number 7, adaptable people don't blame other people. Like I said about whining, those that are not adaptable always find somebody to blame for everything. It's either China or Bill Gates or United States of America or the guy that traveled into Nigeria that brought COVID-19. Right now, it's not the time to start making any or trading any blames right now. It's the time to look to your own drawing table and find a solution and see the opportunities in this particular situation that we found ourselves as a people and as a race. And so it's important that you understand that as an adaptable person, you can't afford to always be trading blames and saying, it is my father's fault that I'm poor. It is my mother's fault that I'm not as well taught as I am. It is my girlfriend's fault that I'm the way I am emotionally, that I'm an emotional wreck. Stop blaming everybody for your condition and for your predicament. Look for how to take responsibility and change the situation for the betterment of your future. Adaptability is crucial for your survival in this season. So don't blame anybody. Take responsibility for your future. Number 8, they also don't claim fame. That is, an adaptable person is not so much about the credit. Oh, I did this, I did that. For them, it's all about the result. It's all about getting the job done. And so even if they provided the most important and valuable idea that resulted in the most amazing results, they're not really out there trying to say, I was the one that said it, I was the one that made it. They're really not really keen about that. They are taking all the valuable lessons from the process that led to that breakthrough idea, and they're taking all the lessons and internalizing it to make themselves a better person. Because in the end, it's not really fame that makes you better. It is not the credit that makes you better. It is the lessons you have learned. So don't really fight for all those kind of things. Yes, as good as it is when the credit comes to you, and as hurtful as it might be, sometimes when the credit is taken away from you, don't be too fixated on credit, fame, and all of those approvals. Learn to take full advantage of the lessons you have learned in the process of adapting to a particular situation. Number 9, they are curious. They always ask questions. Why is this happening? What is COVID-19? What is happening in the world right now? Where did it come from? How is it transmitted? They arm themselves with enough answers to be able to know how to relate, you see, with the situation. Football is one of the very interesting things I find very fascinating because you can learn a lot of lessons about life from football. You see a lot of managers, they will watch the clips and the tapes of the team they are about to play in the next game so that they can find a way to adapt to that particular team and ensure that, you see, the strength of that team they can mitigate and the weakness of that team they can exploit. You see that because they are curious, they are asking questions. They are not just saying, oh, well, this team is the best team in the world. No matter the team we play, we are going to beat them. Hey, guys, if you don't understand that the flanks of that other team is very strong, you will be running up and down. They would spread you out and they would ensure that they win that game because you were not expecting what they brought to the table, because you were not even aware, you were not curious, you didn't ask any questions. You didn't say who are their players, who is their best guy, who are their top 3 players, what is their best part of the field, is it defense, is it midfield, is it attack, where can we beef up so that we can take proper actions to mitigate their strengths and exploit their weaknesses. Oh, the guy that runs on the left hand side, he's not very good and fast. Our guy, we have to change him. We need to put a very fast winger that can exploit that particular loophole. That is what adaptable people do. They adapt to the situation, and they do this by asking a lot of amazing and insightful questions. Number 10, they are open-minded. They're open-minded. They're not stuck in their ways, insisting that the way things are before is the way things are right now, and is the way things would always be. They are very open-minded. Number 11, they see systems and details. This is very important because as an adaptable person, you cannot afford to only see things from the surface. You just say, okay, this is a table. What makes the table stand? That is the understanding that is making what is standing to stand. You see, what is under what is standing is understanding. So when you're able to see systems and details, the thin lines between things, you're able to connect the dots, it shows that you're someone that whatever changes happen in the system, you are able to adapt because you literally understand the system. One of the reasons why we admire, Michael Scofield of Prison Break was because he understood the entire schematics of the entire prison house. And so because he understood the details, he was adaptable. If they lock this door, he's able to gain through another door. If they say, okay, this one is already locked and is blocked, he has another way to maneuver because he understands the details and the systems. The last thing about adaptable people is that they stay current. They put their ears to the ground. They are not the ones carried away by false and fake news. They go about understanding the source of true news, and they look for those particular facts, and they ensure they arm themselves with factual statements and information. They don't go about making projections on false news. They stay current. What is happening in the United States right now? What is happening in Nigeria right now? What is happening in the world right now? How can I take full advantage of it? They stay current. They are not people that are still running on the news of last month. They understand the things that have happened in the system, and they adapt accordingly. These are very important 12 characteristics of adaptable people. Now, yes, you have learned about the characteristics, but sometimes it's a little difficult to navigate into becoming that person. And that's why this next part of the lecture of the class is more about how to become an adaptable person. All right, so stay tuned.